It's an At the Office edition of the East Bank Sports Show, serving up the hottest sports takes from right here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Eric.
Welcome back into the East Bank Sports Show, At the Office edition. It's just me and Eric today. Eric, explain to the viewers real quick before I go on my rambling that I do at the beginning why John isn't here.
Yeah, unfortunately, John is a victim of the power outages that Northeast Ohio is suffering right now. We had a lot of inclement weather last night, a lot of downed trees, I think like 400,000 plus without power. And unfortunately, our boy John is one of those. So everybody out there, I hope everybody's safe. Stay safe. And John, if you're listening, we got you, brother. If you need anything, give us a shout, but I hope your power's back on soon.
Yeah, man, prayers to everybody that has been affected. There's been a lot of fires. They have announced 3 tornadoes that officially touched down yesterday and all the chaos that was going on in Northeast Ohio. So prayers, thoughts to all of those people. But we got some fun stuff to talk about today, Eric. We have a pretty big thing coming out of the Cleveland Browns. You know, they didn't officially announce that we're going to Brook Park, but if you want to talk about what that post that came out on the Browns today basically said was we're moving to Brook Park. I mean, you're seeing the rendering behind us. I'm going to show some renderings here in a second. Eric, I want to know, before I show renderings, first thought when you saw the post. When you saw the post specifically, not any of the renderings yet, because I know we talked about that. We were actually together when the render. I want to know first thought when I said, oh my God, look at what they posted.
I had 2 thoughts. First and foremost, I mean, it was excitement. It's pretty cool to hear and see news about this. The second thought was that this is a done deal. I know all the wording in that letter kind of said, hey, we're still mulling the city's plans for the lakefront. But as you kept reading, it just delved more and more about why Brook Park was a perfect location for the stadium and how development of the lakefront without a stadium could be so cool. So it's pretty clear what they're going to do, but excitement was definitely what came first.
Yeah, same for me, especially because the original, like the post's first image was a rendering of what the front of the stadium would look like. I want to get into these renderings real quick before we start going down and breaking down our thoughts on what the potential new home of the Cleveland Browns come 2028 looks like. So I'm going to show the first aerial shot. I apologize that it is not perfectly cropped to the screen because this is what I had time to work with when we decided to do this quick episode. Aerial shot. I love the view of Cleveland in the background. It does, however, drive home the fact that Cleveland is far away, in my opinion.
Yes.
Next shot is a nice shot going from the parking lot, which would be basically the bougie Muni lot, where normal fans like you and I, and not the executives and the people with club tickets and that kind of thing, would be parking and walking to the stadium. This is the other end of the stadium with shops, bars, and stuff going into the stadium. You can see all the Browns fans walking in with a beautiful Cleveland Browns sign at the entrance before the entrance. And then my favorite picture, the inside of the dome. It's not really a dome. It's a nice glass ceiling. I love stadiums like this. But Eric, I'm gonna let you have your moment for a second. I'm gonna let you talk first before I go into my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm somebody that I think I've gone on record in a previous episode and said that the stadium should stay downtown, preferably at the lakefront. The reality is that it just doesn't work. That site doesn't really work. Engineering wise, it would take a lot to build something like this there in that location. We're talking probably upwards of $1 billion beyond just the stadium, just in engineering, fixing problems kind of thing. So next best option is finding somewhere else to play, right? Is that Brook Park? I mean, for me, no. That first image that you showed, it's not even in the stratosphere of Cleveland, it feels like. I mean, we're going to have the blimp up, and the blimp's going to like show the airport, I guess. Can you even fly a blimp? Probably not, because a plane's taking off. It's not ideal. if people are from Ohio and from around here, you know what Brook Park and near the airport is like. I really like that they're saying what a transit hub it will be and how much better for traffic, et cetera, et cetera. Well, those arteries that run through there and to the airport are not great. I can already see people are going to be missing flights. Forget flying in or flying out on a Sunday. That just isn't really going to work well. But I have other thoughts too, but I want to hear some of yours first, Noah.
Yeah, I want to pull up the last image I brought up when I was just going through showing the viewers who are watching at home video wise. If you're listening to podcasts, I will try my best to describe pictures as we go, but I digress. Let's go into this. This picture makes me really excited for two reasons, right? There's two things here that I want to point out. We are looking at, on the far end zone, not where we would be standing in this picture, what the new dog pound would look like. We are talking a story tall wall of fans from field, grass. It looks like there's barely even a wall there, all the way up to the scoreboard. It reminds me of the stories I would hear of old Municipal, where the players are jumping into the dog pound and like having a beer and all of that kind of thing that we don't really have right now in Cleveland Browns Stadium proper, because this is also called Cleveland Browns Stadium in terms of the mock-ups and everything, with all the premium seating and stuff they've added throughout the years now to accommodate, your higher end guests and your higher end, luxuries and that kind of thing that you see a lot of these newer NFL stadiums do that we don't really have the space for other than front row seats on the field. That gets me really excited, because it just gives me this classic like spirit section, bleachers, kind of like you're in high school and you're getting rowdy and you're ready for the team to win type of vibe. The other thing, and I want to shout out Quincy Carrier real quick. He's a pretty popular Browns YouTuber podcaster, but he pointed out that the roof kind of angles up and then comes back down to the other side of the end zone, which is kind of interesting because it could help the noise carry and keep the field loud as hell during Browns games, which gives us the home field advantage of going crazy when the opposing team is on the field trying to, score on us, and we can be dead silent when Deshaun Watson and or whoever our quarterback is in 2028 takes the field to take the snaps. I want to hear more of your thoughts though, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take. I do like the dog pound. We know that they're going to be rowdy. I am interested just from a architectural standpoint, when they rendered this out and the firm did it, did they have in mind sound carrying, and are those things being taken into consideration? Because that would be cool as hell. The dog pound reminds me a bit of the Hawk's Nest in Seattle. Kind of have this really standalone section where they're known to go rowdy, and it's pretty cool. And if you've been to that stadium, it's pretty cool. My problems lie more within some of the architectural choices. I don't feel inspired by these renderings. For me, when we're talking a project that is billions of dollars, what was it, 1.2?
1.2 just for the stadium, the whole ballpark village, basically downtown Brook Park now is like 2.6 billion or something like that.
2.6 billion. I want to go in order. Bring the images back up.
Okay, give me 1 second. This is the first one I showed.
All right. So let me just pick this apart one by one. So first of all, I do like the idea of a quote unquote ballpark village around the stadium. Places I've been that have it, like Atlanta, for example, it's really cool. All these bars and restaurants are absolutely packed come game day anyway. And it's such a fun atmosphere to be rowdy and be with fans. You can go down there even if you don't have tickets. I'm hoping that the whole Muni lot thing will, I don't know how that'll work, but hopefully that transfers and they have some kind of area, because, that's going to really piss some fans off if they don't. Go to the second picture, Noah.
Okay. Actually, so that was the second picture. The first picture was the aerial shot.
Go to the second one more time, though, because one more thing I forgot about.
Okay.
I like how you like the little Cleveland Browns sign roof thingy. It's just giving amusement park vibes. We're not going to Geauga Lake. I don't know that that's super cool. They could have done better there.
That's interesting. And you got to remember it's renderings too. Like maybe it'll be
It
called
is.
the Jim Brown Ballpark Village or something like that. They just put Cleveland Browns on everything because we haven't even broke ground on any of this.
Oh,
But
I
I'll
know. It's
digress.
all
I'll digress.
conjecture.
Okay. Continue. You want the next picture?
No, I want to show a picture actually. So let me just show you something. Hold on. I've never done this, folks. I'm working on it.
No
Apparently, I
worries.
have
I
to
want to touch
upload
on
it.
one other thing real quick while Eric pulls that up. Um, we can all be in denial. I've said it before that I really want the team downtown, but in the post today, it mentioned, Burke is not a viable location. The city has even doubled down and said that with them now. I want to mention the fact that, we can renovate the Browns Stadium where it is now, but as Eric said, as we were getting into talking about the stadium, it's just not the best location for a stadium anymore. There's no real parking around it. There's a lot of issues there. Eric, I'm going to let you pull up your image now, though. If you're ready to talk about whatever this monstrosity is that you photoshopped before we came on air.
Go ahead, pull it up. All right. So my point here, and it's a little hard to see, but I just want you to look at that logo in the top right of the building. Can you zoom in further?
I cannot.
Okay, that's okay. My point here is, though, that it looks like a corporate campus. When I say uninspiring, so that's the Google logo up there. If I presented this image to you with the Google logo and said, hey, Google is building Campus 3.0 in Austin, Texas, forget about the snow for a second, and you would probably say, oh, cool, that looks like Google. It doesn't give me Cleveland Brown vibes. It doesn't give me stadium vibes. It gives me corporate park, and that's where it's just lacking for me. So when I say uninspiring, that's what I mean. What are the things that are going to make this stand out and be unique? We're talking about, the next 25 years or so of a stadium that's going to be kind of a crown jewel, especially in Brook Park. It will be the crown jewel. What's it giving that says this is worth 1.2 billion? It's not my money, but if it's me, I don't know. I'm looking at a corporate campus.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying here because at first I thought you did a really good Photoshop job and added like walking space around the Brown Stadium. I'm not even kidding.
Not that good.
Actually, you know what? We're getting pretty deep into this. I'm going to let us cut to commercial break. I'm going to hit my point when we come back with the East Bank Sports Show at the office. We will be right back after we pay some bills. And we're back with the East Bank Sports Show at the office. And I could give you the intro and the ramble and everything again. I just want to say subscribe, follow us, follow the Fanatical Elves everywhere because I'm ready to get back into it with Eric and be a little bit heated. Because
bring it.
There is one stadium that I've been into. There's two NFL dome stadiums I've been into in my life. One of them I hated, the other one I loved. In terms of football atmosphere, I'll preface it with that. I've been in Mercedes-Benz in downtown Atlanta. I hated it there. It felt like I was in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse on steroids. Felt like I was in a basketball arena, which is fine for the events that I was there for. I was there for a Kanye concert. But I couldn't see myself getting amped up to watch the Browns play football there, right? The other stadium, and the one that I'd like to bring up and bring into our discussion, is US Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, because it has the same vibes that you're talking about, that it has the structure of a corporate building, same kind of deal. It's actually the same company that did the renderings for us built this stadium.
I can see that because it looks like a hospital.
But
children's cancer, it gets cured there.
That's crazy, first of all. Second of all, it's still the best indoor stadium I've ever been in. I didn't feel like I was inside a stadium. I don't care what the outside of my stadium looks like personally. Maybe you do, Eric, and more power to you. If the inside feels like a place where I can watch, get rowdy, be in the dog pound, having a good time, cheering on the Cleveland Browns. That's all I really care about. And these renderings give me US Bank Stadium in Cleveland. And it makes me really, really excited, man. What else are you thinking, E?
I mean, listen, we all know that the fans are really what determine the atmosphere. We've talked about it before, so and apologies ahead of time, but we all know I'm a big Chelsea football fan. Their stadium, it's in London, and they have similar issues in rebuilding. There's some transit lines, there's some weird rules where you have to be able to see the church from like any part of London. So like you can't build high to block that view from, I think, from Kensington Palace. Like there's weird rules like that, right? But it's such a fun time when you're at a match there because of the fans. And we know that's going to be the case with Cleveland Browns games. That's reality. Steelers fans aren't welcome. Please do not attack and abuse physically fans. That is not cool. But if you're a Steelers fan, do not come to our stadium. It's a bad idea. We know the fans are going to be there and it's going to be on point. I just feel like what's lacking, my biggest thing here, I really loved when Jerry World unveiled the massive Jumbotron, the biggest ever made. When SoFi Stadium out in LA, they have the kind of rounded one where you can see on both the outside and the inside. Those things are so cool and make a game atmosphere better. We don't have any of that here. We have some glass panels, cool. Like, is there a way where this roof, which, I mean, it looks okay, don't get me wrong, but can those be transparent LEDs where it looks like glass, but then they can turn it into a massive screen at some point too? I don't even know if that technology is there yet. It's lacking. That's the best word I can give you. It's lacking. I want more.
I just completely disagree with you. I love the fact that you still get the ambiance of being outside without having to deal with being outside. I think that's the biggest thing for me in terms of my football viewing, is the ambiance of being outside. Not even feeling cold, because I've been to, 13-degree and -degree weather games in my time as a crazy fanatical Browns fan, if I want to use our network's name as an example. That doesn't do it for me. But feeling like I'm watching football when I should be watching, Donovan Mitchell pull up a three is what throws it off for me. So this is the perfect middle ground, I think, in terms of those people that maybe wanted a retractable roof, which, if anybody knows the logistics of a retractable roof, there's no point to do it because it takes so long to pull the roof back. Put it back on if there was inclement weather. It's just way easier to just leave the roof on all the time.
Let me say this. It is pretty cool. I've been to Mariners games where it starts to rain, and yes, you have to wait like 20 minutes, but you see the roof moving. It is pretty damn cool. I do wonder, I assume, again, I'm not an architect, I assume they have these things figured out, but most Browns games are played at 1 p.m. Is the sun going to be an issue on the glass and or metal up there? Is it going to reflect weird into fans' eyes? Hopefully not players' eyes, things like that. I have to imagine they have that stuff figured out, but an all glass thing, is there going to be the greenhouse effect where we're just going to boil in there when the sun's hitting? I don't know the answer to any of these questions. I would imagine people way smarter than I am have figured this out, but interesting things to note with this design.
There's one last thing I'd like to touch on about this whole thing before we go to final thoughts and takes, because again, this is a shorter episode. John's not here, so we're not going to do the whole 3 topics thing that we typically do here at the office. The first thing that came to my mind as well, not even now, but back when they first started talking about these Brook Park plans, right? And you kind of touched on this already, is the logistics of everything, the traffic, parking prices. Are the prices of the tickets going to go up? Stadium concession prices, beer prices? Because, if you look at the grand scope of the NFL, other than parking prices, the Browns tickets, the Browns food, the Browns beer, all of that inside the stadium are pretty fairly priced right now. They're top 10 in all of it. Eric, I want to know what your thoughts are about the logistics and the money that, this Brook Park location might bring up. And then I want to give mine before we go to final thoughts and takes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely prices are going to go up. I imagine food prices are going to go up. I do want to shout out Dee Haslam, Jimmy Haslam's wife, because one of the things that she took on personally, they really wanted the experience of Cleveland Browns Stadium from the moment you enter to be pitch perfect. And they did a really good job of refreshing the food, refreshing the interiors. It used to just be a concrete monolith, kind of Soviet-esque interior hallways. They did a good job with what they had to work with. So I think the fan experience will be great. It'll be perfect. What will ticket pricing and menu pricing, that sort of thing, look like? Especially as they're building this in a very blue collar suburb in a really blue collar town, that is Cleveland. Are they going to price people out? Probably. Is that the consequence of progress? Maybe. I don't know. I think these teams should be for the fans. Noah and I are lucky enough to work for an organization that has suites at these things. So we kind of get to see that elevated life side of things, and it's very cool and very fun. So at the same time, I'm so excited to go to a game and to be in a suite and kind of see what they do with it. But yeah, I think prices are going to skyrocket. I can't imagine they won't. But like anything in Cleveland, prices are determined by how the team on the field does. Guardians tickets right now are expensive, and they're full houses. They can be expensive, I should say, because they're doing well. If the Browns are doing well, those resale tickets even are going to be sky high. If they're not doing well, you'll still probably be able to see them for $20. So you better field a good team.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a differing opinion than you do. Not as drastic as you hating the architecture of the new stadium and me loving everything I saw today.
Hate's a strong word, but go on.
You know what I mean. To me, yes, obviously, anytime you do something like this, and I believe in the revenue of how we're going to pay for this stadium, any business that's brought in because of this are going to get taxed, and there's a lot of, background dollars that are going to make things more expensive in this area, which is a given when you have something like this. But there's also something to be said when, say, Atlanta did their ballpark village around the Braves. They kept their parking down so that way fans could still come to the village even when there's a game going on, because basically how this works, right? If there's a parking, space that's owned by the team, they basically set the price of what the parking is going to be. So if the Haslams decide Muni Lot 2.0, whatever you want to call it, is $25 flat, no matter what, during game days, everything around there, whether it be parking garages by the airport or any third-party parking garages that come in, would probably float around that $25 price point because the Haslams are setting the market, basically. I could see them doing something like that to keep everything successful coming in, people still coming in to go to the bars, the breweries, the restaurants, the whatever is going on and going to be put in here. I could see that happening. I could also see them keeping the concessions fair because I've seen this as a trend in some of these newer stadiums as well. Atlanta is another example of this, where all the concessions in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, is it the Superdome now?
Yeah.
Or is that New Orleans? Anyway, all the concessions
they go back
there.
and forth.
Yeah. The concessions are still relatively cheap. We're talking like $6 a beer, $2 a hot dog, $3 popcorn, $3 candy, that kind of thing, your typical concessions. And then you start getting the crazy things that stadiums like to do now, and the pricing's all over the place. But I could see them doing something like that as, some good faith movement because of some of the pushback that we're getting with the Brook Park. That being said, they're also billionaire oil tycoon family that doesn't really care about us. So I could see it going either way. I just wanted to give some credit because you've seen it happen in other sports franchise cities. Eric, what else are you thinking, man? Are you about ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. I mean, one last point on that. This isn't charity. I think we should keep in mind that they are doing this to make money, even though it's costing money. I found it interesting that they want to pay 50-50 still. I'm not sure quite how that's going to work. I don't think you have Cuyahoga, or at the very least, I guess you'd still have Cuyahoga County, but you don't have Cleveland tax money anymore to go towards this. So that's going to be interesting. Brook Park tax, I don't think. And they mentioned that they're not planning to mess with taxes, that should go to more needy things, and that they have ideas on how to pay for this. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a percentage of the sin tax, especially now that marijuana, as of Tuesday, can legally be sold recreationally here. Maybe they can get a pick of that or a percentage of that. I'm not sure, but I don't trust in them keeping prices fair. We're talking about a guy that ripped off his own employees, and incentive programs, and had to testify before Congress and nearly went to jail because that's just the type of guy he is. When we're talking about billionaires, none of them are great guys. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope you're right, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited regardless.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm excited to see where this stadium goes, where everything ends up, how quickly they start getting the ground broken, because even though they didn't officially announce it today, like you said and I mentioned, they're mulling over the city's offer for them to stay downtown.
It's done.
You don't unveil everything with Brook Park branding and Brook Park Brown. You don't do that if you're thinking about staying where you are right now, right? So
not at all.
We're going to move into final thoughts and takes. Eric, we're going to keep this quicker because we're already coming up on a half hour, and I wanted to keep this between 10 to 20 minutes, but that's just what happens when you're having a good conversation. Final thoughts and takes, but this one's with a twist, and I didn't tell you this until right this very second. Do you think Brandon Ayuk is going to be a Cleveland Brown? Why or why not?
I have another final take after this, so sorry. I always got to break your rules. I don't know. I don't think so, because I don't think there's much incentive on San Fran's side to get this done. Pittsburgh, it was noted, was turning them down. They didn't want to give up a player. I hope we don't give somebody up that, I think him in addition to Cooper is exciting for me. Swapping them, I think he's probably a little bit better at this point in his career, but it doesn't get me as excited. So my answer is going to be no. I think he'll still be in San Fran at the start of the season, but who knows? And then I have one more final take, but you go first.
Yeah, I'll make mine quick because my answer is I don't even care at this point. I'm so sick of hearing, oh, well, now he says he wants to go to the Commanders. Oh, now he's going to New England because they're offering money. Oh, now he likes the Browns because they're offering, a fully guaranteed contract as we do. And we have a chance to win a Super Bowl here. Like, I'm so overhearing about it. It's almost to the point. I was like this with the Deshaun Watson thing, mainly because I was on vacation. And then when he said he was out on Browns, I stopped paying attention. And then I pick up my phone and he comes to Cleveland. So I don't care at this point. I'm happy with our receiving room as is. Brandon Ayuk would be a great addition and or subtraction to addition if Amari Cooper is the trade piece. That's a whole nother debate for another day because we might not even do it. Go ahead with your final take.
Yeah, final take. It's a bit more serious of one, just because of the weather that's rolled through here. First of all, if you're tracking serious weather, you should do so with Channel 19, their first alert weather. I'm a bit of a homer here since I work for them, but it is
We're
the
both homers here.
Most accurate, certified most accurate for 19 years running. But the more serious note that I wanted to point out, every time that we have serious weather, and our weather team has to cut into coverage, whether that be sports, golf on Sunday, whether that be primetime, Big Brother, whatever's going on. They do so with the intent that their coverage could help save lives. And every single time we get notes and emails, our GM gets calls of how pissed off people are because they cut into their regularly scheduled programming. And I just want to say, like, give them a break. They're doing that. They don't want to cut in and interrupt your shows, but they're doing that so grandma who doesn't have a cell phone can know that she needs to go to the basement and not get taken out by a tornado. This stuff is serious and it does save lives. And that's why, our meteorologists do what they do and come in on their off time to do that. So, I hope everybody out there gets their power back and is okay. But just remember that they are trying to keep people safe.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this special-ish edition of the East Bank Sports Show at the office. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube analytics tell me 99% of you that watch our videos are not subscribed. Please subscribe. It helps us grow the channel a ton. Hit us up on Instagram. Give us a follow there, as well as TikTok. We post content on TikTok and Instagram about 5 days a week. It depends how many times I remember during the week, but typically I'm good about it with 5 times. Make sure you check out everybody else at the Fanatical Elves Network. And until next time, Cleveland, whether that be tomorrow because John gets power, next week with Matt when we talk more Cleveland Browns news, or maybe there's another breaking news episode that I got to feel like I got to hop on with Eric or Matt or John or Blake or anybody who's ever been on the show before to talk about it. Until that time, Cleveland, have a great week.